What's up, you guys? Sierra here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I've never talked about on this channel, but I wanted to share because I really do have like this whole mantra trying to simplify life. I figured this would be a really good way to just introduce, the concept to other young adults who maybe haven't considered simplifying their life maybe just a little bit. Like they feel like things are getting really complex and complicated, because honestly, life is a hassle, especially like when you're in that 18-year-old, like 24-year-old range, where you're just trying to make the transition from your childhood to adulthood, go from high school to university or to college, and it's stressful. You're trying to move out, like this whole period, it can be very stressful. So I think that these tips are going to be helpful in just telling you 10 things that I've done as a young adult / teenager to simplify my life. So let's just get straight into it. Number one, this definitely is not going to apply to a lot of people, but I've decided not to date.
Oh, wow.
Let me give you a little context. I am 17. I'm going to be 18 at the end of this month, and I've never dated before, and I don't intend to date for probably like 2 years. I feel like maybe like 20. I don't want to date until I feel like I'm actually ready to get married.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's just my thought process on it. Of course, I'm like at 20, I probably won't be ready to get married either, but I'll at least have like I could see me dating them for like a year, being engaged for a while, and then getting married. Like I don't have any time span. I don't have it doesn't have to be planned out to a T. I'm just saying what I'm doing so that I can focus more on myself in these, my final teenage years, and then maybe even in my early 20s. I think that it's really important that you take the time to learn and love yourself before you try to add somebody else to that equation. How can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? How can you learn about somebody else when you don't even know yourself, right? So take this time. I'm not telling you not to have a significant other. I'm just telling you what I'm doing to simplify my life, because honestly, when you get a partner, you take on all their problems too. Like you take on so much more than what you have. It's just stressful. You go from being by yourself to being with somebody else, and of course you love them and you enjoy the time you spend with them, but it is a lot more work, and it gives you less time to spend on yourself, on working on your goals, schoolwork, your career. It gives you less time. So I'm not telling you not to have a partner, but I'm telling you to really think it out. Like if you feel like you can't see being with this person in the long run, why even play with it now when you could be focusing on other things? So just consider it. All right, next, I have gotten a planner. I feel like the number one and number two are entirely different. That's because they are, but they both ultimately simplify your life. I mean, if you don't have a planner, what are you doing at this point? Like what? You're a young adult. It's time to get organized, sis or bro or whoever you are. It's time to get organized. And a planner in your laptop or on a mobile device, whatever your kind of planner is, just make sure you have one. Mine is like a bullet journal, which is like a paper planner that I kind of try to get a little artsy, and I'm really feeling it. And then I know there are plenty of digital planners, like GoodNotes is a good app for Apple, OneNote, Notability. There are a lot of note-taking apps out there that can ultimately be used as planners, but just get one. I mean, it simplifies your life so much. Everybody's juggling a lot of things. You gotta keep up with this stuff. You can't be slipping. It's something like paying back your credit in time. You don't want your credit score to go down because you weren't keeping everything written down, like you didn't even realize that the end of the month was here or something. So really to consider getting a planner and get one that you feel like you'll actually enjoy using so that you will use it. I would suggest to use it on a daily basis. If it helps just to set it all up at the beginning of the week, do that. Do what you want, but make sure that it works for you and make sure that you have one. So get a planner. Next, this is something that I feel like not a lot of people are doing. Maybe it's a little controversial for me to say it, but I'm going to community college. I'm not saying that going to university isn't simplifying, I'm not saying that it's not simplifying your life, but I'm not saying that it is either. It's a big step, and it can be very complicating. Everybody knows that university has a lot of layers. Sure, there's academics, but then there's also the very large social life. The big social scene in most schools, so like parties, you meet a lot of new people, and yes, that is super exciting. I'll probably make some videos in the future going a little bit more on like community college, the differences, like why I chose to do community college, because yes, university does seem very exciting. The independence seems very exciting. The whole situation seems exciting. Even like the learning part seems exciting, but it is really expensive, and it introduces a whole lot of new aspects into your life that you could avoid if you just did community college. Like for me, I don't want to complicate things by going off hours away from my family and doing things that won't make me or them proud, because I do feel like in a situation like that, there are a lot of, you're presented with a lot of situations where you would do things that you would never have even like thought about doing back at home. So I don't even want to be in any situations where I feel like tempted to do things that compromise who I'm trying to be. And this is definitely a personal decision. I do think that I would be pretty strong in a university setting, but I don't even think that there's any real reason to put myself in that situation, considering how darn expensive university is. I guess like really the part that I feel like is simplifying my life the most is just not getting into debt. That student debt, I don't even think people realize how much it just starts to kick you in the behind a couple years down the road. I don't want that. I don't want to be tied down by this debt for years to come because I decided to go to a really nice school and get an education when I could have got the same, maybe, I don't know if it's exactly the same level of education, but I really could have got like the same credential, and I could have got a pretty good education for a much lower cost. And that's what community college is. You still get a very nice experience. You get to stay with your local community. You get to meet people in your area, still network, and you get to do it at a very, very affordable rate. For me, thanks to scholarships and financial aid, my cost is completely covered for my community college, and that is a blessing. I'm very excited about that. So even though I was a little bit, I'm not gonna say sad, but just a little like off put by not going to university where I know so many other people are. It feels so good to know that it's all covered for these years, and I'm gonna be able to focus my money on other areas. And I can still work while I'm in community college. I'll still be near my family if they need anything. Honestly, I'm planning on living with my family. I know not everybody has that privilege, so that's really nice. Like they said that we can all live here. I had 3 siblings. We are all college age. My sister is my twin, and my brother is like 3 years older. So we're all still up in this piece. I don't know when we're gonna move out or anything. I do know that I want to move out, and I do think me and my sister are gonna room together when we move out. I don't wanna wait too long, but I don't wanna rush it either. I think that another way to just kind of simplify your life is to recognize where you don't exactly have to strain yourself financially as much as you may want to, which sounds kind of weird, but like I want that independence, I want to live by myself, I want to get out. But if you know that your parents are fine with you living at home, I mean, you can stretch it out for like a year or 2. There's not really any reason not to, unless there's like a bad situation at home. So that's a pretty nice way to simplify things. It's just staying with your parents, helping out, having a job so that you can also expect to pay like some rent, but it's still going to be a lot cheaper than if you moved out, went to an apartment, or if you moved out and went to a university. The next thing I've done is just, I don't care about name brands. I want to think that more young people are becoming like that, where they care less about name brands, but I'm not sure. So I'm just saying it like, if a piece of clothing is cute, some accessory is cute, like a device looks nice, like who cares really about who made it, like who manufactured it, if it's still like good quality, like, and you know, if it was ethically produced. I would say like, it doesn't matter if you decide to go with a Michael Kors bag or a bag from Target. They're both bags, they both carry your stuff, they both get the job done. If it's a store brand, there's no shame in getting the store brand, especially, and like with food too. You might as well try it. I mean, most of the time the store brand alternatives are pretty, just about on par with like the name brand stuff, if not better. So don't let the cost, like don't necessarily think price means higher quality, and don't get hung up on the brand. So put that to the side, and I guarantee you your life will be simpler. I think that's also kind of like the thought process of minimalists too. First of all, they don't really have that many things, but just remembering that the things you have don't have to be name brand, like, and it doesn't matter. Nobody really cares. So the next thing is a little bit more random, but it's something that I've actually been doing since I was like early 15. Me, like, and my sisters, we don't eat red meat. And I know you're thinking, how is that simplifying your life? In my mind, my family has a history of high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So by not eating red meat, I know that that lessens that risk. And especially if I continue to throughout my entire adulthood, I I don't want to say anything for certain because I can't see into the future, but just looking at like the statistics and like scientific reports and stuff, like you know that not eating like cow and pork and hot dogs, of course it would make sense that that would translate into lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure later on. And I just know that it would make me feel healthier. I think that it's just a simple way to make sure you're being healthy. And I'm not saying that by not eating red meat you are being healthy, but for me at least, it's easier for me to be healthy by not eating red meat because I have to force myself to kind of get creative. It kind of forces me to eat more plant-based, and also to like, I can turn to seafood. So it really makes me kind of think outside the box, and it just makes staying healthy for me simpler because I'm not putting red meat inside of my body. I know that's probably like a controversial. I'm not saying you don't have to eat red meat, but like if you know that there are some dietary changes that you can make that you know is going to be good for you, and it's not going to put like a lot of pressure on you, like you can do it, then I would just say do it. Because if it's going to simplify your life without you really having to do anything, I know it might sound like I'm doing anything, but not eating like a hamburger, that's not doing anything. So I don't have to do anything to not eat red meat. Like, it's not hard. It just becomes it like becomes part of you almost. Like, it just gets easier to have these little restrictions once you just get into the swing of it. Okay, next thing is, I'm just gonna touch on this very briefly because I'm not trying to have anybody come at me. I know that there's so many different viewpoints on this, but I'm just gonna say that I am a pretty religious person, and for me, just having a religion that I have where like all the principles and standards are laid out that I know that I'm supposed to follow, that helps me simplify life for me, and I'm pretty sure it helps other people who are religious simplify their life as well. So if you've like thought at all about, if you don't have a religion, if you've thought about getting one, I would say to keep thinking about it. Look at some ones that you feel like you can really connect with, and if you already have a religion and you feel good about it, I would say to also just re-examine like the standards, the principles of the religion. I think that would just make it easier for you to live your life and feel good about the way you're living your life, to know that your family feels good about the way you're living your life, and it really does simplify things when you aren't your own judge, but you let the principles behind your religion be your judge. It differs per religion, so I can't really get into depths on anything, but I want to add that in because it's a pretty big part of my life. So the next thing is just to DIY as many things as possible. That's one thing that I've done, and DIY is do it yourself. So anything that you feel like you have the potential, the capabilities of doing yourself, I would just say do it yourself. Like for me, like my hair, I can do my hair myself. Like for like different things, like makeup, you can do it yourself. Like cooking, do it yourself. Like most people do cook, but what I want to say is like cook more often. Like that you can, anybody can cook really if they are physically capable. So I would say like to cook more than you eat out, and know how to make some pretty decent meals so that you don't have to eat as much. Ultimately, this kind of comes down to just saving money, and I would say saving time, but it doesn't always save time. It does save commute time, so you don't have to commute somewhere else for somebody to do your hair. You don't have to if you know how to fix things yourself, you don't have to commute to get a tailor to fix your dress or something. And it saves money, it really does. If you know how to fix a hole in the wall, that's gonna save a lot of money. So that's just one principle that I live by. There's so many things out there. There's YouTube, there's WikiHow, there's Google. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can use that is going to teach you how to do things yourself so that you can save money and you can just gather up skills. I mean, never hurts to kind of learn your own little trades, even if you're not a professional in it. So do it yourself and you will simplify your life, at least a little bit. The next one is probably one that you all have probably already done, to be honest, since students, people around this age span, most of us don't have much money, is to use used or refurbished things. I always will at least look at the used or refurbished things before I would hypothetically make the decision to buy a new thing. But I would only like buy the new thing if I felt like the used or refurbished things were damaged, or they just, normally if they're damaged, if they have like some cosmetic flaws, I can normally look past that. But I don't want them to have too many cosmetic flaws. It's okay to get used or refurbished, but you still do want your things to look nice most of the time. If you feel like, if you don't care about them looking nice, then that's, you do you. I get the cheapest price you can get, because at the end of the day, it'll probably do the same thing even if it doesn't look as nice. But yeah, looking at the used or refurbished things, it just makes sure that you save money. And when you save that, even just a little bit of money on each purchase that you make, like, of course that really adds up over time. Like if you get a refurbished, like Amazon Kindle, then you get a refurbished iPad, and you get a refurbished camera, like it really just adds up, the money that you're saving by not buying the new stuff. Of course, like, don't sacrifice quality because you want cheaper things, but also like recognize where you don't have to have like the top quality stuff to get done what you want to get done. Like for me, if I got an iPad, I'd be okay with a refurbished iPad from like 2017, because I know that what I want to do on the iPad, I don't need a brand new 2021 iPad. I don't even know. I'm spewing stuff because I don't even know if there is a brand new 2021 iPad, but Apple's always making new stuff, so how would I know? Anyway, so like I'm saying, just make sure you always look at all your options and don't always just go with new because you think it's the best, because honestly most of the time you can get done what you need to get done with cheaper alternatives, cheaper options, and it can still be the exact same product, but it's just older, or maybe it had a little problem at one time, somebody had to give it back to the manufacturer and now it's refurbished. So anyway, I at least wanted to say that. The next thing is to just stay organized. Of course, this is kind of obvious. I would like to think, like, it's not groundbreaking that staying organized is going to help you simplify your life, but honestly it really does. And I say it because a lot of young adults, honestly, they kind of don't. I mean, I know some who do, but it could just be like hard, everything that you have going on. And then honestly, I think that a lot of us don't actually care as much about staying organized as maybe the people around us do. And so sometimes we don't do it because we don't care, but we should, because like a cleared space just makes it easier to clear your mind and your head, and it just really does. Even a organized digital space, don't look past that. I know, like, it's so easy to rack up so much on your laptop, to have so many tabs open, to have files from 8 months ago that you should have deleted the day you downloaded, but you were just too lazy to delete. Speaking from personal experience here, I swear, time goes by and then you realize how much stuff you've accumulated and that you just ignored. So stop ignoring it and start cleaning it. And if you need a schedule, which I would suggest having a schedule just to make sure you actually do it, make one. So if that's like every Friday, you delete all the files from the past week that you don't need, do it. Clear your desktop off. You don't need a bunch of stuff up there. Alright, you guys, so I'm back 2 days later realizing that I never made the outro, so I want to do that right quick for you all, telling you to subscribe, like the video, comment down below any future video ideas, what you liked about the video, what you didn't like about the video, hit that notification button to be notified of future videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!